Okay, here we go. All right, so this is the day 5 notes for solving quadratic solutions, okay? All right, so we need to know what a quadratic solution is, okay? A quadratic solution is the x. It's the x that makes it true, okay? So it's the x that makes it true, okay? So solutions on the x-axis, remember, are called roots, zeros, and x-intercepts. All right. Now, make sure you are filling out your notes, okay? Day 5 notes. Make sure you fill it out as I fill it out. Also, don't forget, you can always pause if you need to, okay? All right, so roots, we use the squigglies. Zeros, we're going to write them as x equals, and then it'll be some number. And then our x-intercepts, we write those as it'll be a number, and then your y value is always 0, okay? All right, so can you find the solutions in the calculator? Yes, okay? You can either look at the graph or the table, okay? All right, so when it comes to roots and x-intercepts and zeros, there can be either 1, 2, or no solutions, okay? And when we look for the zeros, this is review as well. We had this yesterday. When looking for zeros, the quadratic must be in standard form. Now, before we do this, before we try to find the zeros, okay, of any quadratic in standard form, the first thing we want to do is to always check the calculator for solutions first. Okay, we want to check the calculator for solutions first. Excuse me. Okay, so we'll look at the graph. And if you really can't tell from the graph, then you can look at the table. Okay, so let's look at the first one here. Okay, all right, so here we have a quadratic equation, and we need to get the factors. That way we can set the factors equal to 0, okay? So that way we can set the factors equal to 0. So in order to do this, I have to do the x box in order to get the factors. So here's my x, here's my box, okay? And remember, I'm just using the poster over here on the wall, all right? So looking at this, the GCF of 5 and 21, okay? If I use my calculator for that, I'm going to go math num 9. I'm going to go math, go num, then 9, and I'm going to type in 5, 21, and that gives me 1. And so now I need to take the GCF of 1 and 4. Well, the GCF of 1 and anything else is just going to be 1. So here my GCF is 1. So I'm just going to use 5. So I'm going to use, let's see. So I'm going to use 5 as my A. B is going to be negative 21. And then C is going to be my 4. Is going to be 4. Okay? So is what I'm doing here. Again, I'm doing the X box in order to get the factors. Okay? All right. So 5 times 4 gives me 20. So I'll put that here. And then negative 21 goes there. Okay? But I skipped a step first, okay? I skipped a step. So remember, we want to check the graph first, okay? So I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to plug this in, 5x squared minus 21x plus 4. And now I'm going to look at the graph. So here's my graph. So I can tell I have 2 zeros, okay? So 2 solutions to this equation. and they're both, one is there and one is there, okay? So I definitely want to do the X box in order to find those, all right? So now I'm going to fill in everything I know. I know A times C is that, B is that, and then 5x squared is going to go there, and then whatever my C is will go here. And so now I need to get the magic numbers, and they magically fill in these two boxes, okay? All right, so to get the magic numbers, I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to go 20 divided by x. And again, we've had this before, divided by x plus x, okay? So now I'm going to go to my table. Oops, let me set that to 0. So now I'm going to go to my table, and I'm going to look for negative 21 in the y2 column. So I'll go up, and there it is right there. So there's negative 21. So my magic numbers are going to be negative 1 and negative 20. Okay? So this would be negative 1. This would be negative 20. And so I'm going to fill these two numbers in. I'll put negative 1x here, and I'm going to put negative 20x here. Okay? So now I want to get the GCF of 5 and 1. Okay, the GCF of 1 and 5 is just going to be 1. So right here I'm going to put 1x. And then 1x times what gives me 5x squared? Okay? Well, 1 times 5 is 5, so right here this will be 5x. So 1 times 5 is 5, x times x is x squared. Okay? And now next I need to get this missing piece and this missing piece. Okay? This and this. So here's how you can do this. This might be a better way to do it than we've done it in the past. We're going to take the GCF of 4 and 20. Okay, we take the GCF of 4 and 20, and that's going to give me that number right there. So I go to my home screen, and I'm going to go math, go right, 9, and I'm going to go 4, 20, and that's going to give me 4. Okay, so I'll put 4 right here. And now to get this number right here, I take the GCF of 1 and 4. Well, the GCF of 1 and 4 is just 1, so I'll put it there. Okay? Now notice this is a negative, so I'll make this negative, and this is a negative, so I'll make that negative. Okay? So now we want to go back and check our box. So 5x times 1x gives us 5x squared. 5x times negative 4 gives us negative 20x. And then 1x times negative 1 gives us negative 1x. And then negative 1 times negative 4 gives us 4. Okay? So our factors are going to be this. So our factors are going to be x minus 4 and 5x minus 1. Okay? And so now we're going to set, just like we did on the day 3 notes, we set these equal to 0. So I'm going to go x minus 4 is equal to 0. And I'm going to go to 5x minus 1 equals 0. So I'll add 4. Add 4. And so that'll give me x equals 4. And then I'm going to go plus 1. Plus 1. Okay. So that'll give me 5x is equal to 1. And so divide both sides by 5. So that's going to be x is equal to 1 over 5. Okay? So these right here will be my solutions. X equals 4 and x equals 1 over 5. Okay? Alright, so now you want to check this on the calculator. So let's talk about how to check this on the calculator. So you're going to go to y equals. Okay, you're going to plug this in. That'll be 5x quantity squared. That'll be minus 21x. And that's going to be plus 4. So now we're going to go to our table. And we're going to table jump to 4. And I should see 0 in the y column, which I do right there. Okay. So now we table jump to 1/5. So I'm going to go second window, and I'm going to go 1 divided by 5, and then go back to my table, and boom, there's a 0. Okay, so that means that we got these right. So our solutions are going to be x equals 4 and x equals 1/5. Okay. Okay, so let's look at this one. Okay, so remember, your first step is to always look at the graph, okay? So our first step is enter into the calculator, enter into y equals, look at graph. Okay, all right, so I'm going to enter this into the calculator. So let's see here. So I'll go y equals, so this is going to be 2x squared, and this is going to be plus 17x, and this will be plus 26. So now I look at the graph here. Okay, and so you see that we still have solutions for this, okay? So we do have solutions, all right? So we want to go ahead and do the X box. So on this one, since this is a U try, I'm just going to set up the X box for you, okay? Now your GCF is going to be 1, okay? So we set up our X box. Okay, all right, so 2 times 26, that'll be 52, and then this will be 17. Okay, so this is going to be 2x squared. Okay, yeah, so this will be 2x squared, and this is going to be 26. Okay, all right, so I'll let you finish this and get the x-intercepts on your own, so you may want to pause it and work on it. And then as soon as you get it, unpause the video and move on to the next one. Okay, here we go. So let's look at this one. Now notice this is not in standard form here. Okay, this is not in standard form. So our first step here is we have to get this into standard form by making this a 0. So I'm going to subtract 3x, okay? So bring down the 2x squared, so that's 2x squared. Notice I put the minus 3x under the like term, so 2 minus 3, that gives us negative 1x. Bring down the 6, that'll be plus 6. And then this would be equal to 0, okay? So now our next step is look at the graph. Okay, look at the graph. All right. So I'm going to plug this in to y equals. Okay, so this will be 2x squared minus 1x plus 6. Okay, is that right? Yeah. So I'm going to look at the graph. Okay, and so look at the graph here. Notice it doesn't cross the x-axis, right? So this is the x-axis. My parabola does not cross the x-axis. So that means this doesn't have any x-intercepts, okay? So that means there are no x-intercepts. So the graph looks something like this. Okay, so that means there are no x-intercepts. So on this one, I'm just going to put no solution. No solution. Okay. All right, so now I'll let you, okay, you can finish this one on your own. And then the practice that you need to work on, the substitute will hand that out to you, okay? So make sure you finish that, both sides, and it will be for a grade. Okay? All right, thanks a lot.